Today, we're diving into a really fascinating way of looking at the world called musical psychology. The core idea is that our lives can be understood just like a piece of music, with its own unique melody and its own harmony. Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Those moments of chaos or feeling disconnected, where things just don't seem to click. That feeling of dissonance. Well, this whole approach taps right into that universal experience.
So, musical psychology basically says our lives can follow one of two paths. On one hand, you have a harmonic melody. This is a life that feels intentional, where you're learning, you're growing, you're finding that sweet spot between stability and change. But then there's the other side, a chaotic melody. And this is where you see those repeating, destructive patterns, where it feels like outside events are just pulling you along, creating a really jarring, disconnected story.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll dig into that core idea of your life's melody. Then we'll look at what makes up that melody, these things called mental chords. We're going to explore two really powerful examples, the security chord and the time chord. And you'll see how this all comes together to show this incredible link between ancient wisdom and modern science.
Okay, so what is the melody of your life? Well, this approach studies how the sequence of everything we do, our decisions, our habits, our reactions, all of it comes together to create our own personal melody. And here's the key. That melody can either be healing, leading us toward growth and harmony, or it could be destructive, keeping us stuck in chaos. But life isn't just a simple single line of notes, is it? It's so much richer, so much more complex, and that is exactly where the idea of mental chords comes into play.
A psychological chord is such a cool concept. Picture this. It's a set of mental notes. Things like our feelings, our thoughts, and our actions that are totally inseparable. They have to be played at the exact same time, and they have to be in balance. When they are, boom, you get harmony. But when one note is off or missing entirely, that's when you get that dissonance we were talking about.
Let's break it down. Think about any major experience in your life. It's basically a chord made up of these three notes you see here. What you feel, what you think about that feeling, and then how you act on it. For things to turn out well, for you to have a healthy outcome, all three of those need to be working together. Let's see how this works with a real-world example.
All right, our first big example is the security chord. This one is fundamental. It's built from three absolutely essential notes that shape our entire sense of safety in the world: trust, boundaries, and grace. These are the building blocks for our emotional stability, for how we feel secure, think about our relationships, and act inside of them.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how two completely different worlds describe the exact same truth. The Torah talks about this chord using three concepts: emunah, which is trust; clear laws, which are boundaries; and hesed, which is this deep, profound sense of grace and compassion. Now fast forward thousands of years, and what does modern science discover? Attachment theory. And it says a child needs emotional warmth, that's grace, and consistent rules, that's boundaries, to feel secure. The result is the same in both worlds: a stable person who can have healthy, loving relationships.
So what happens when that chord is out of tune? Well, the results are pretty predictable. If you have grace without any boundaries, you get chaos. If you have boundaries but no grace or compassion, you get rigidity, anxiety. And if that foundational note of trust is broken, it just leads to a life filled with suspicion and cynicism. You can almost hear the jarring notes, can't you?
Okay, so from the security we feel in our relationships, let's pivot to another chord that shapes our entire existence, the time chord. This one is made up of three notes that are absolutely essential for a balanced life: work, rest, and sanctity. And once again, the parallel is just stunning. The Torah lays out this perfect rhythm in the concept of Shabbat. You have 6 days of work, followed by a day of rest. But it's a rest that's filled with sanctity, with a higher meaning. Now, jump to modern science. Research on burnout proves that working nonstop, without quality rest, leads to a total collapse. And positive psychology shows us that having a sense of meaning, of ritual, is crucial for our resilience. The result, when you get it right, it's a life that feels like a steady breath. You inhale with work, you exhale with rest, and you find that moment of deep quiet and meaning.
And the warning here is pretty clear. When that time chord is played badly, if it's all work and no rest, or if it's just rest without any deeper meaning to it, the whole system collapses. It's a direct path to burnout and that hollow feeling of meaninglessness.
So what are we really seeing here? This isn't about one being right and the other wrong. Not at all. It's about two different traditions, ancient wisdom and modern science, playing the exact same melody, just using different instruments.
This quote just nails the whole idea. Science will show you a graph with statistics about how community impacts depression rates. The Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, tells you a story about why it is not good for man to be alone. One uses data, the other uses a narrative, but they are both pointing to the exact same fundamental human truth.
And this framework, this pattern, it goes way beyond just the two examples we talked about. Think about a societal chord, like truth, justice, and peace. You can't really have one without the others. Or a personal one, like the balance between the individual, the family, and the community. This pattern shows up everywhere you look.
Which, of course, brings this all back to you. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a powerful tool for looking at our own lives. It's an invitation to listen, really listen, to the music of your life. To ask, are my chords in tune? Is there harmony? Or is there dissonance? And maybe the most important question of all is, what melody am I choosing to write with my choices, my actions, starting today?